Welcome everyone. This is the Indian Express of 8th September 2022 and I will explain this newspaper in 3 steps. First is why is the news, second is what is the news, and third is what can be the future prospects of the news. So let's get started with the first news, which is COVID distress. 1 in 6 micro, small and medium enterprise loan accounts under government pandemic relief package and it turned NPA. So why is this news? This news is because during COVID period, government have given relief packages as a kind of loan to MSMEs, which is micro, small and medium enterprises, and it turns out that these loans have now turned into non-performing assets. So what are non-performing assets? Non-performing assets are those loans which are default loans, or you can call the borrower is not going to pay them back fully. These kinds of loan are said to be turned as non-performing assets. So 1 in 6 MSME loan have turned into non-performing assets. So this was a scheme which is Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme. Under this scheme, these loans were given to the people in order to help them. So in an indication of continuing distress in the micro, small and medium enterprises sector, 1 in every 6 loan which was dispersed, which was given under the Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, it was launched as a part of COVID-19 relief package in May 2020 and has turned bad in just 27 months. So this is according to the information that is obtained by Indian Express under RTI Act. Now the defaults are mainly in the lower end of the loan bands up to rupees 20 lakh. So most of the loans that are up to rupees 20 lakh are not fully repaid back to the government. So most of the loans are up to this level, rupees 20 lakh. This the data relieves. Now replying to an RTI, which is right to information, the NCGTC, which is a National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company Limited, it's a company that has been set up by Union Ministry of Finance. Why? In order to manage and provide guarantees to these loans, and it has set that loans to 16.22 lakh accounts, or you can call 16% of the total 98.86 lakh accounts which were dispersed in May 2020 have turned into non-performing assets. So whatever were the total accounts, 98.86 lakh, 16% have turned into non-performing assets. So while the total non-performing assets, or you can call bad loans, as per the RTI response dated August 25 this year, now the total amount is 11,893 crore rupees, and it's a total loan amount which is dispersed till August 25. This is some 2,81,375. So out of this 2,81,375, the non-performing assets are 11,893.6 crore. So now the quantum of loans that could be provided by bank was increased. So I would like to tell that during COVID, the total amount of financial help that was given by government of India was in 2 installments and was all total some $300 million, and it was 3 point some percent of the GDP. So if we compare that to other countries such as Japan, so Japan dispersed I think more than 50% of its GDP in the accounts of the people. And why these loans were given, or you can say why these credits or money was given in order to help people, because sudden COVID distress leaded to lack of cash in the market. So that is why Japan has given nearly 50% of its GDP, and US more than you can call more than 1 billion or so. So India helped less in terms of cash, but it has given more subsidies and more food help, you can call that. So looking forward to the next page, the quantum of loans that could be provided by banks, it was increased from 50 crore initially in the phased manner, and the ceiling was rupees 500 crore, and was finally removed also in May 2021. So the government announced this ECLG scheme for MSME sector in May 2020, and it was after 2 months after the national lockdown was announced. Now these loans under the scheme, it was first the component. So there were two, I called that, there were two segments, ECLGS 1 and also ECLGS 2. And the first component of this scheme allowed a 2-year moratorium, and the interest rate that the people have to give in terms of the loan taken was 9.25%. So you take the loan and give the interest. So what is the interest rate? 9.25% for banks, and it was another 14% for non-banking financial corporations. So if you have taken loan from banks, then you have to pay 9.25% according to this ECLG scheme. And if from these non-banking financial corporations, then you have to pay 14%. Now these MSMEs were provided additional loans. Also some additional help was given to a maximum of 20% of their outstanding debt. So whatever debt you have taken, you can also take additional loan up to maximum of 20% of your debt. For example, if you have taken 1 crore as a debt for your MSME, then you have to give 20% of it. Not give, you can also take 20% of the debt. That is, if you have taken 1 crore, then you can also take an additional 20 lakh from the government. So this was also, you can say, a benefit. These loans were to be categorized as non-performing assets, which non-performing assets are those loans that are not repaid fully by the borrower, and when they remained unpaid even 3 months after the 2-year moratorium. So there is a time period that this is the time period that you have to repay the loan. Now even after that time period, and after plus 3 months after that time period, these loans were not paid. So that's why they are categorized now as non-performing assets. And most loans that have now turned bad, these were awarded under ECLGS 1. So a banker involved in the exercise, it's a banker who was involved in the exercise, he said that the current non-performing assets categorization norms state. So this current non-performing assets, what the state of this condition of this non-performing assets, what does it say? It say that if even one loan account of a customer turns bad, all loans will be categorized as non-performing assets. So this is very clear that if one customer do not pay the loan backs, all loans will be categorized as bad loans, or you can call NPAs, irrespective of the fact that the other accounts continue to be serviced. Now the banker also said that some accounts may have turned bad even before the mandatory 3 months period. And why? Due to non-payment of other loans. And it indicates that the company or the individual was not able to service loan due to financial stress. So obviously people cannot pay loan because of financial problems only, and some are, you can call, intended defaulters. So most of the time it is financial stress, and explaining why the number of loan accounts have turned bad are high, though the quantum of bad loans is low in value terms. So you see that was only 11 lakh sum. You see here that out of this 2,81,375 crore, this 11,893 crore, these are non-performing assets, or these are bad loans. So you see the amount is less as compared to the whole loan that has been given. So this is being told by the first banker, and the second banker said that initial lot of the non-performing assets are from smaller loans, and these are extended earlier in this scheme. So NPAs are mainly in the loan bucket which are under 20 lakh. So I told you that the 20 lakh margin was the most amount of loan that turned into bad loans. So on bigger loans, that is more than 20 lakh, the number of NPAs are lower for now. So for big loans, the number of bad loans that have turned bad is low. That if people have taken more than 20 lakhs, they are able to pay that, said a banker handling loan accounts in the industrialized region of the country with a large number of MSME units. So now this email that was sent to NCGTC, which is the Union Ministry of Finance, and Financial Services Secretary Sanjay Malhotra, it does not elicit any response till the time of going to print. So Indian Express was, I think, expecting for any response, but no response was given. And the January 2022 report, which was given by State Bank of India, it has said that this ECLGS was crucial in keeping the MSMEs afloat. So obviously loans was given because people needed the money in order to keep their businesses run. So they needed loan in order to manage their business. It saved an estimated 13.5 lakh MSME accounts. So there was a lot of help, I see, and also 1.5 crore jobs. These loans have saved that, and also prevented an estimated 14% of the outstanding MSME loan that accounted for 1.8 lakh crore turning bad. So of the 13.5 lakh MSME accounts that was saved, 48% belong to micro enterprises. So MSME stands for micro, small and medium enterprises. So this 48% goes to micro, 46% goes to small, and 6% goes to medium enterprises category. Now this non-performing assets under this ECLGS loans, banker noted, were mainly of small businesses. So I told you that these small businesses who have taken loan up to 20 lakh, these were the most number of non-performing assets. These loans turned mostly bad loans. So I think this was there is also remaining news. Loans under ECLG scheme carry a government guarantee, and 75% of the total loan amount is immediately paid to the banks in case of loans turning bad. So government takes the guarantee of these loans, and 75% is paid by the government if loan is turning bad. And the rest, after the bank fails to recover the loan amount. So in normal course, bank has to provide at least 15% of the outstanding in the first year, and in case of unsecured turning bad, bank have to provide 25% of the loan outstanding. So this is a great help by government. In terms of industry classification, micro units are categorized as units So this micro, small and medium, what are these units? So there's a definition given. Micro units are categorized as those units which have investment up to rupees 1 crore and the annual turnover of these enterprises is less than 5 crore. So investment 1 crore, turnover 5 crore up to. Then small units are those which have investment limit of 10 crore and turnover of less than 50 crore. Now a unit is a medium enterprise if its investment is up to 20 crore and turnover is less than 100 crore. So this is important, you must remember this. So this was a news, I think, in first page. Then this is political news and Uttar Pradesh news. Now coming to next page is Uttar Pradesh news. Next come the Express Network. So what Prime Minister have said at the Russia meet. He said that Ukraine conflict and COVID hit global supply chains. This is being called by Prime Minister at a Russia meet. With Russian President Vladimir Putin listening, Prime Minister Modi on Wednesday said that Ukraine conflict and COVID pandemic, both of these things, Ukraine conflict as well as COVID pandemic, had a major impact on the global supply chains. And what's the result? Shortages of food grains, shortage of fertilizers, shortage of fuels. So he was going a session at Eastern Economic Forum, which was held by held at Russian city of Vladivostok, and it was also attended by Putin and Modi without mentioning the Russia invasion. Said India has stressed the need to pursue diplomacy and dialogue since the beginning of Ukraine conflict. So obviously India have never called for that the Russia has invaded Ukraine or anything like that, but India has always taken a simple statement that do solve the conflict with diplomacy and dialogue. You may have heard this statement many a times. Now India's ancient doctrine of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. So this is a Sanskrit word that has taught us to see the world as a family. And in today's globalized world, event in one part of the world create an impact on the whole world. So this is what globalization has given us. You do something in one part of the world and it really affects the other part of the world. Examples are many, such as Arab Spring. So it started in one part of the Arab and the whole Arab have seen the results. So now the Ukraine conflict and the COVID pandemic have had a major impact on global supply chains. Shortages of food grains, of fertilizers, and shortages of fuels. These are the major concerns for developing countries. And since the beginning of Ukraine conflict, we have stressed the need to take the path of diplomacy and dialogue. We support all peaceful efforts to end this conflict. So this is a statement that was called off by our Prime Minister. Modi said that India welcomes the recent agreement that is regarding the safe export of cereals and fertilizers. So you may have seen that Russia and Ukraine, both of them, mutually exported cereals through Black Sea. And India is keen to strengthen its partnership with Russia on also the Arctic issue. There is also immense potential for cooperation in the field of energy. So these things you have to remember. Arctic issue, you have to strengthen the partnership. You have to cooperate in the field of energy, and along with energy, India has also made significant investment in the Russian Far East in the areas of pharma and diamonds. So these two are the investments from India in the field of pharma as well as diamonds. So his comments came in the backdrop of concern that was raised by West, that includes US, Europe, over countries buying oil from Russia. So you may have heard our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar giving a reply that why India is buying oil from Russia. Obviously, these are the people, ministers and diplomats are the people who are trying to achieve the best deal for the people of India. And while uh, you see, Europe is also buying gas from Russia, and with its per capita income is more than $40,000, and India at a per capita income of just $2,000. So obviously, our country have to find the best deal for a country so that their pockets are saved. Now, Ukraine has criticized India for buying Russian oil. Yeah, I've seen the statement that Ukraine has called that each uh, barrel of oil that is imported in India from the Russia contains the Ukrainian blood. So you can call this a strong statement from Ukraine. But I think uh, every country sees forward for its own national interest, and we as an Indian country are not funding the war. We are just doing the best for our citizens, saving their pockets who are already poor, and the per capita income of merely $2,000 shows the result. Now, defending the decision, India has said that it is buying oil to meet energy needs and also minimize the inflationary impact. So, India needs energy in terms of running its factories, its commercial things, and everything depends on energy, and also minimize the inflationary impact. On Wednesday, Modi said Russia can become an important partner for the Indian steel industry with supply of coking coal. So India is calling for Russia to become a partner and supply that coking coal, and there is a scope for cooperation in mobility of talent too. Now, calling off that Indian talent has contributed to the development of many developed regions of the world. So I think he is calling off for Indian talent in US, Europe, Germany, and Arab region that too. I believe that the talent and professionalism of Indians can bring about rapid development in the Russian Far East. Recalling his participation at the Forum Summit in 2019, Modi said that India has announced its Act Far East policy at that time, and it was a result of which cooperation with Russian Far East has increased in various fields. Now, this policy has now become a key pillar, this Act Far East. So, Act is policy, now acting in the East and Southeast region. Now, Act Far East is about Russia and South Korea, Taiwan and North Korea, Japan. These are the areas that comes in Act Far East. Now, this policy, this Act Far East, has become a key pillar in the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia, Prime Minister Modi said. Now, Cabinet clears India-Maldives Memorandum of Understanding on Disaster Management. Now, this Union Cabinet of India has approved a MOU, which is Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation between India and Maldives in the field of disaster management. So this is being signed between National Disaster Management Authority of the two countries on 2nd August. So Union Cabinet, which was chaired by Honorable Prime Minister, has exposed facto approved this Memorandum of Understanding and signed it, that is between the National Disaster Management Authority of the Republic of India as well as National Disaster Management Authority of the Republic of Maldives in order to cooperate in the field of disaster management. So this is a Memorandum of Understanding that has been signed between the two countries. So now no such news. So I think for future India has intervened in Russia and Ukraine war, calling off for the same dialogue that it must be solved with diplomacy and dialogue. So India is not going to take side because it's already an axis of its own. So we will see how this war goes on. Everyone has intervened, but nothing has been solved yet. So next come the government and politics. Now the government, this cabinet approves a scheme to upgrade schools with national education policy conditions for state. So you know national education policy that was passed in 2020, and this is a new education policy that has came, and now it has been applied to many states and schools. So what is the news? The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the PM Shri, which is PM Schools for Rising India scheme. This is a new scheme that is under which 14,500 schools will be identified with consultation with states and union territories and will be upgraded. So these schools, 14,500 schools, will be upgraded at a cost of 27,360 crore over the next 5 years. Now this scheme will be a new centrally sponsored scheme where the government will be at the 60% of the implementation cost while states 40%. This is being told by Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Now the scheme will be open to states that agree to implement the NEP 2020 in entirety. So if the state sign the memorandum of understanding that they will agree to implement this national education policy in entirety, with the center laying down the commitments for supporting these schools for achieving a specific quality assurance as PM Shri schools. So only those states that fully implement the national education policy in their states or union territories will be not union territories. Union territories are the government centrally run. So these states that sign to implement NEP in entirety will be given assurance as PM Shri school. Now the Pradhan said the objective of the exercise, this PM Shri, is to have a set of model schools, at least 2 in every block, where the key exponents of NEP 2020 are showcased. This is the aim in order to create model schools, at least 2 in every block. Now the schools will be chosen after rigorous assessment. So there will be an assessment that follow the applications from the state government. So state government will give applications, will give its you can say data of schools, and then this will be chosen by the center. Now the scheme is open to schools that are being run by center also, such as KVs, which is Kendriya Vidyalayas, and also JNVs, Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas, as well as those that are run by state government and also local bodies. So what is the qualification criteria to qualify for this scheme? The school will have to meet a prescribed benchmark. So what is this benchmark? It has 60 parameters. 60 parameters are there. If you qualify these 60 parameters, then you will be qualified for the scheme. And these parameters range from availability of electricity to toilets. So these 60 parameters, if you cover that, you will be under this model school and will be upgraded to under the scheme PM Shri. Now the Education Minister said that under the scheme, which is expected to cover at least 18 lakh students, money will be transferred directly to school authorities, and also flexibility will be provided. So money will be given directly to schools and flexibility will be provided so that school can choose the area where up to 40% of the total funds are to be spent. So if you give 100% funds to the school, now 40% of the funds, the area that school wants to, you can say, allocate, it can, but 60% of the money will be spent by center in order to make that school a PM Shri. Last one, the center has informed the Lok Sabha that most states and union territories have initiated their action on national education policy, while West Bengal and Tamil Nadu have yet to inform the status of their implementation. And on Wednesday, so these two states have not yet informed whether they are applying national education policy or not. So on Wednesday, Pradhan said the states are largely on board with the idea of PM Shri, and this policy Department of Ministry of Education has held multiple rounds of discussion on this with the states over the last 1 year. So he's calling that it has been discussing about this PM Shri since last 1 year with the states and union territories. Now the application window will be opened soon so that states or schools with permissive of respective state government can start applying. So states can give their data list and also schools can give their data, and only with the permission of state government. So nothing can be given like solely. It is only through state government that they can apply. Now we aim to have the first setup of upgraded school during the ongoing year itself. Now what is the key highlight of this scheme is that the decision to replicate the Gujarat government's Vidya Samiksha Kendra model, under which academic data is collected for analysis using AI tool. So this is the model that they are trying to create in the whole India. This is Gujarat government's Vidya Samiksha Kendra model, under which all the academic data, all the you can call information is collected and it is analyzed using artificial intelligence. So we will see in explain page also it is given, so we will see there also. Now what is the main facilities that will be provided? Smart classrooms, digital libraries, modules on foundational literacy, numeracy, mentoring by higher education institution, 10 bag less days per year, and internships with artisans is also preschool facilities. So these are the facilities that are being provided in the NEP. So this comes to our Express Network page. This I have explained yesterday also, that Supreme Court is taking its decision on hijab ban, and also the Karnataka High Court order that was given regarding this hijab ban. So now what Supreme Court has said, that Karnataka government's order on hijab ban is not innocuous, targets a community, Supreme Court told. So what this innocuous means? Innocuous means which is not harmless. So, and it targets a community. This is what Supreme Court has told. Now Muslim appellants against the Karnataka High Court order in the hijab ban case on Wednesday called into question the state government order which was given on February 5, and Supreme Court told that it was not innocuous as was being projected by the state, but only targeted one community, that is Muslim community. Now this government order that they submitted, it left college development councils with no option but to prohibit wearing of hijab. So this is about High Court order that left the college department to prohibit the wearing of hijab, and also meanwhile a bench of Justices Hemant Gupta, Sudhanshu Dhuria that were hearing the matter for the second day, he told senior advocate Devdutt Kamat, who is appealing for one of the appellate students, what he told is that while the right to dress is inherent in the status of an individual, so you can wear whatever you want, it's inherent in the status of individual. What is the argument is that it is a facet of fundamental rights that cannot be stretched to illogical length, as that would suggest the right to undress too is a part of fundamental right. So they're talking that the way you want to dress is to be under some limits. Now you cannot say that I don't want to wear any dress. So this is a right to undress too, is a part of fundamental rights. So do not take that matter to illogical length. Now citing the April 2014 National Legal Service Authority versus Union of India and ORS ruling. So this is the ruling that came in the context of third gender persons. Now Kamath said that court said that Article 19(1)(a), it states that all citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression. It also includes one's right to expression of his self-identified gender. Now this self-identified gender can be expressed through dress, words, actions or behavior or any other form. So if person is not feeling like they belongs to female or male, they can have their own self-identified gender, and obviously this is expressed by words, action, feeling, behavior or any other form, by dress also. You can't take it to illogical length. Right to dress will also mean right to undress also. So nobody is undressing in school. This is very obvious, and I'm not making cliched argument, I'm making a nuanced argument only on the limited point. So what Justice Gupta said is that hypothetically, that is imaginally, if you say the right to dress is a fundamental right, then you can also say that I don't want to dress also. So it's also inherent in the status of citizen. So Kamath said that point he was trying to make it. If it is inherent part of my basic right, I'm wearing a uniform and on top of it. So you see the hijab is weared on the top of the uniform, because we wear the uniform and then on top of it they wear the black hijab. Now the senior counsel also said that Jio offends positive secularism because it is targeting only one community. So he is talking that he is targeting only one community, Muslim, and not other communities, those who wear other things like Punjabi pagdi, which is wear by Sikh person, or any other things like that. Now Justice Gupta said that his interpretation may not be right. He added that because one community want to come with a headscarf, every other community is following the dress code. So he talked out that it's only targeting one community because this community is coming with headscarf and every other community is coming with the dress code that is being you can say implemented by the college. He asked whether there was any violation by any other group. So he also asked that you say which other communities are violating. We are targeting the one community because they are wearing a hijab, not any other community. So Kamath said in South India, different sections of the society while wearing the uniform also wear something in addition that display a certain degree of religious identity even when they go to school. Now pointing out that he himself used to display such identity. So he is talking about other things that can display religion. Now Kamath said that somebody wears a rudraksh, somebody wears a cross. So Justice Gupta said that rudraksh and cross are not displayed outside. They are under the shirt. Nobody is removing your shirt to find out that what kind of a religious belief you are following. So how does it bother? It is a concealed thing. And also Kamath argued that concept of secularism that is being accepted by Supreme Court is a positive secularism, and he called for a you can say sukt ikam sat vipra bahuta vadanti. So this means that truth is one. The learned call it by different names. So now Justice Gupta asks that is that statement that there is one God and different ways to achieve it accepted as true by all faiths in India? So he's asked that question in which the Kamath said that question is not about violation of uniform, but wearing, displaying something as part of his religious identity in addition to the uniform. So this person Kamath is worried about other things that people wear in general, such as Hindu wears kalava in the hand and also rudraksh in the hand, or you can say in the neck. Now Christian people wear uh, this cross sign. So he is particularly concerned about that, and that is something which the state should be a little more generous in accommodating. So replying to that, Justice Gupta said that the word secularism was not there in the original constitution, and even in the absence of that word, the constitution was secular. So it was only in 1976 we inserted the word secularism, although it may not be required. It is a political statement. Now secularism and socialism were always there. So it's talking that before 1976 the word secularism was not in the constitution, but we added that as a political statement. Now Kamath said that GO expressly used the term public order, but the State Advocate General considered that it's not based on public order. High Court also considered it's not based on public order. So public order is out. Then morality, if I wear a headscarf, whose morality is offended? So it's talking about that if girls wear a burqa, niqab or headscarf, hijab, then whose morality is offended? So he said the High Court had stated that forcing a girl to wear hijab is militate against Article 14. But nobody is forcing a girl to wear a hijab. So if a girl exercises her right under the constitution, can the state prohibit it? So there's a lot of discussion that is being going on in the court. I see that, and the arguments will continue on Thursday. So we will see. This is a major ruling, and all of the India as well as whole of the world is watching for these rulings by the Supreme Court. It's very interesting and intelligent kind of debates that are going on. They are taking every aspect from religious symbols to wearing clothing and finding it very interesting also. So we will see the arguments on Thursday. Now coming to word page. So Truss has appointed diverse cabinet in which two of them are Indian. So these are the person who is Suleya Braverman and also Alok Sharma. These two persons are have joined the cabinet of Liz Truss. Now EU plans to cap Russia gas prices. Putin warns of winter freeze. So Vladimir Putin has threatened to halt all energy supplies if they took such a step. What step they have taken? European Union has proposed a price cap on the Russian gas after President Vladimir Putin has threatened to halt all energy supplies if they took such a step, and it raised a risk of rationing in some of the world's richest country this winter. So this winter will be a severe winter for all of the Europe as well as Britain, because they have supported the sanctions and now they are facing extreme energy crisis, and Europe has also accused that Russia is weaponizing energy supply in order to retaliate for Western sanctions that have imposed by the West countries on Moscow over its invasion of Ukraine. And Russia blames that those sanctions for causing the gas supply problems, which it puts down to pipeline faults. So this is a heated debate, and at the end Russia has said that we will not supply anything at all if it contradicts our interest. And this confidence of Russia can be seen because um, previously when the war started, West put the sanctions on Russia, and its export came to a very low, I can say a halt. Only few countries were buying, but now China and India are buying a lot. You can say more than 20 times that they were buying in uh, before the February 24th, the day in which Russia invaded Ukraine. So now because India and China are buying a lot, that's why the exports have come to the level that Russia have before its invasion. So this is, you can call, is the tonic of their confidence, and they're not talking that we will not supply gas, oil, coal, heating oil, will not supply anything. So this is by Putin. So you see the confidence, and you see the suffering of European Union. So this is why Europe is targeting India, and why India is buying, because Russia is giving the oil at a discounted price. It is giving oil at a discount of more than $30 per barrel, which is more than 2000 rupees per barrel, and it helps India a lot. So Ukraine is being invaded, and I think European Union have not calculated its step while supporting the sanctions. Obviously, it has supported for good cause, but it must have calculated its step, or it must have at least arranged another sources of energy before putting sanctions. So this was a mistake, I would call, that has been done by European Union as well as UK too. Now Sri Lanka's economic crisis is a result of past impunity for rights abuses. This is by UN. So I think this statement tells that all. And but I will explain that in short, that Sri Lanka is a critical juncture at its political life. This is a UN report that has said that nothing impunity for the past and present human rights abuses and economic crisis and corruption were the underlying causes for the collapse of island nation economy. So human rights abuses, economic crisis, corruption, all these have led to the collapse of Sri Lanka's economy. And also the debt, China's debt, how can it forget that? That they were also main, you can say, cause of the halt of Sri Lanka's economy too. So this is called by UN, and we will see how Sri Lanka will get rid of China's aggression as well as its over presence in the Sri Lanka. Now coming to economy page, RBI DG, who is Deputy Governor, have called that CBDC to cut time, cost of cross-border transactions. So what is this CBDC? It's a central bank digital currency. It is not a cryptocurrency. It is, you can say, a currency in virtual form. So it is being planned to be introduced this year, which is 2022, and it may become a tool for reducing the time as well as also the cost for cross-border transaction. This is being called by RBI Deputy Governor T. Ravi Shankar. So it was announced by Nirmala Sitharaman during fiscal year 23 budget. RBI has proposed to launch on a pilot basis this year. So in the budget, Sitharaman said that central bank would roll out a digital equivalent to the rupee in the current financial year. So she was talking about the central bank digital currency. Now what he said, that we have to understand that internationalization of this currency, this virtual currency, is crucial. Why? In order to address the payment issues that bodies like G20 and BIS are dealing with right now. And he observed that India has an excellent, cheap and fast domestic payment system, which would help in the cross-border payment, and the cost of cross-border payment is still very high. So this fast domestic payment system will help. There's a lot of scope also for improvement in terms of both cost as well as speed. So he's talking that CBDC will increase the speed and lower the cost of transaction in terms of cross-border transaction. Now he's talking that CBDC is probably the most efficient answer to this. For example, he said, if India's CBDC and the US CBDC system can talk to each other, then they don't have to wait for settling transaction. And that massively takes out the settlement risk from cross-border transaction. And also, he's talking that if these two currencies like US virtual currency as well as India's virtual currency, these two are linked, it will reduce time and also it will reduce the cost. So this internationalization is something that he is looking forward to. And there were also concerns that fraud management. So about this concern, he said that digital payment needs to be scaled up. So he's talking about security, that they have to be made more secure, and it needs to be scaled up while preserving systems integrity. So this is essential, and also for technical stability. It just doesn't mean that technical failures of transaction have to be minimized. It also means that transactions themselves have to be inspire confidence. So he said that we cannot have too many instances of fraud. He's talking that fraud management is an area that we also need to focus on if we have to scale up. So this is true that in order to make that digital currency successful, there should be very minimum number of frauds, and if there are, you have to look down for the loopholes and solve that immediately. Otherwise the trust of the people will be gone and it will be a complete failure. So citing the examples of UPI that we use for non-feature phones and also in laptops and phones, he said that RBI pays special attention to the fact that digital payment technology should be inclusive. So he's talking about that all the persons should use this digital payment technology. It should be inclusive. That word itself describes the need and the aim, objective of this central bank digital currency. And third is of course innovation. So he's talked about in terms of what RBI Innovation Hub has been doing, but this innovative impulse is something that we would want the industry to rise up to. So he's talking about new ways, new ideas, innovative ideas in order to come forward and make this digital currency more successful and secure. So on data security, he said the central bank has to keep working on it on a continual basis. Obviously, nothing can be made secure once and for all. You have to keep continuing security for that digital currency. So whenever something you can say faulty comes on, immediately solve that. And this security process goes on in a cyclic manner, not once for all. So we need to understand that there is never a moment when we feel we are secure enough, because there is a moment that you get vulnerable. So there is a moment that you get vulnerable. So you cannot feel secure enough once and for all. So we will wait for central bank digital currency, and it's a good initiative. I think it is aimed at improving the digital payment ecosystem in terms of both domestic as well as cross-border transaction. So obviously people are using now digital medium of transaction more, and this central bank digital currency will be welcomed more than enough. Main thing is the trust. If you have trust in the currency, then people will use that. So next come the explain page. This is about PM Shri, schools upgraded to NEP labs. And then this is about health. This is not that important in terms of newspaper. If you want to read it, you can read it at first as well. It is about long hours of sitting. So you can read this. You can take a screenshot and read this. Now this comes the PM Shri, which is schools upgraded to NEP labs. So you see, I have explained that 14,500 schools will be upgraded to NEP policy. What is the scheme? Scheme is to upgrade 14,500 schools across Indian states and union territories, which will be developed to reflect the key features of NEP. So this was discussed by states and union territories, and he said that idea of PM Shri is to create a set of schools that would act as NEP labs. Now what is the NEP? So NEP for school envisages a curricular structure. Now what is this curricular structure? And also some teaching style. Both of these are featured in 4 stages. First is foundational, you have to maintain good foundation. Also preparatory, then middle, and then secondary. So according to NEP, foundational years, which is preschool and grade 1 and 2, they will involve play-based learning. So at the preparatory level, which is grade 3rd to 5, light textbooks are to be introduced along with some formal classroom teaching. So this is very easy. I don't think I have to explain that much. Subject teachers to be introduced at middle level, which is 6 to 8. Now secondary stage is grade 9 to 12th and will be multidisciplinary with no hard separation between arts and science or other disciplines. So you see the current, before this NEP, there were either you choose science or either you choose arts. So in this new system, there will be a integrated study of arts and science. It's also proposed that board exams should be held twice a year, including one for helping the students to improve their scores. And 2 types of mathematics paper should be offered. First is a standard paper and second is a different one. What's the different one? The different one is to test the higher level of competency. It's a centrally sponsored scheme and it's a cost of implementation. I've already told you the 60% will be paid by central government, 40% by states. Midday meal scheme, which is PM Poshan and PM Awas, these are also an examples of centrally sponsored scheme. Now in case of northeastern states, which are Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, and which are not these northeastern states, that are Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland, and all that. And other than that, these north states such as Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, Union Territories, without legislature, the central contribution can go up to 90%. Now this will be implemented at a cost of 27,360 crore for next 5 years, and center will give 60% of it, which is 18,128 crore. All these colleges, which is Kendriya Vidyalaya, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, these come entirely under Central Ministry of Education, fully funded by Union government. And KVs largely cater to children of central government employees that are posted in state and union territories, and GNVs. So these KVs are for the children of central government employees, and GNVs largely, not 100%, GNVs are to set up and nurture talented students in the rural parts of the country. PM Shri will be upgraded, will be an upgrade of existing schools that are run by central, state, union territories and local bodies. This means that PM Shri schools can be upgraded, Kendriya Vidyalaya, GNV, or even a school that is run by state government or a municipal corporation. So I've already explained that application have to be given by states, and then center will choose that. The PM Shri scheme application based means that the state have to identify schools for upgradation, and then schools will be required to self apply online. Portal will be opened for 4 times a year, once every quarter, for the first 2 years of the scheme. So selection methodology is decided by central government, state and union territory that are interested in getting included in the scheme. they first have to, what is the first criteria? They have to agree to national education policy entirely, and also only those schools that meet a certain benchmark will qualify in their 60 parameters given, from availability of electricity to toilets. You have to qualify that criteria in order to get selected. So in the third stage, team of state government officials, KVs, JNVs will verify the claims that are made by applicant schools, and a physical inspection of that school will be done, and the final call will be taken by an expert committee. Now, what is the difference between already run Kendriya Vidyalaya, GNVs and all that? What is the difference between these PM Shri schools? These PM Shri schools will be different from existing government run schools, and that remains to be seen, because we see what will be the upgradation. It's not fully given. What is expected is that it will be superior in terms of infrastructure. They will be equipped with labs, smart classrooms, libraries, sport equipments, art room, etc. And they will also be developed as green schools, which have facilities such as water conservation, water recycling, energy efficient infrastructure, and also organic lifestyle will be integrated in the curriculum. Now, these schools will also offer mentorship when they become that upgraded version of their own. Then they will offer mentorship to other schools in their vicinity. So this is the expected criteria, you can say expected results, that all these facilities that I have read in above: water conservation, water recycling, green schools, libraries, labs, this will be given. In terms of quality of education, there will be special modules on improving foundational literacy and numeracy. So this foundation will be made more strong. Each school will be linked to higher education institution for mentoring. So this higher education institution will mentor each school, and there will be provision also for internship too for the students with local artisans. Now, pedagogy, which is the study of education, will be adopted in these schools, and it will be more experiential, more holistic, more integrated, more paid ploy based, particularly in foundation years. It will be inquiry driven, that it will be discovery oriented, like scientific temper of the student will be discovered. Learner centered, which is like children centered education, discussion based, flexible and enjoyable. Central government has said in a statement. What is the focus will be? Focus will be on learning outcomes of every child in every grade. So it will be more on learning of every child in every classroom, every school. Assessment at all levels will be based on conceptual understanding, not just the rote learning. It will be tested what is the understanding of the child, and also what application they can make of the knowledge to their real life situations. And also will be competency based. So there will be competition also. So this is what PM Shri schools are. These are basically NEP labs. I would say it's a good initiative because it is going to help education system of our country a lot, majorly you can say. So in coming days we will see how they are selected and what schools are selected, and also I'm very interested to find, and you too will be interested to find, that 60 criteria. What is that? If it comes in newspaper, I will explain that. So now this comes an end to the newspaper. Today's newspaper was lengthy and also important too. This new scheme was very important, as well as the international news that came also important, and also the hijab news. We will see that in coming days also. So you can read this newspaper as well.